Have you ever wondered why Jax is a rabbit? Why does his room look like it belongs to a little girl? Or why is he the most violent character? Get ready, because in this video, we're going to analyze the most disturbing theory, one that will make you hate Jax. We know that Jax is a rabbit, but his design isn't just because he looks cool or cute. And if you ask me, this design seems a bit contradictory. We know that Jax is not cute at all. He spends his time bothering everyone and even hitting them. Well, friends, here's where it gets interesting. If we think about it a bit, rabbits are animals that are always running away. They're pretty skittish. And if we relate all this to Jax's past, it seems like he's just running away from something he did in the past that's haunting him. So then, what is it that Jax is running from? Well, the answer seems to be pretty disturbing. And we find all the clues in his room. When we see it for the first time, it's all full of rainbows and bright colors. And something interesting the creator told us about the design of his room is that the rainbow represents that Jax used to be a good person before something traumatic changed him. This is really weird, knowing how much of a psychopath Jax is. And another curious thing about this purple rabbit is that he gets pretty disconnected when Ragatha talks about her abusive mom in front of him. That probably brings back bad memories for him. Maybe because he went through something similar? Also, something that probably seemed pretty ridiculous to many is that Jax gets really nervous and upset when they mention corn. But come on, I don't think it's just a simple joke. Rather, I think that fear could also come from this trauma that happened in his past. So, connecting his room with the design of a purple rabbit and these curious details about Jax, everything points to a hidden truth involving a child. And these things could be connected to a horrible trauma before the digital circus. And because of these rather colorful and childlike elements, it seems like they involve this little boy. Probably, whatever happened to this boy, Jax didn't have the courage to face it and decided to run away and hide in a cornfield. But what did Jax do that made him run away like that? What did Jax do to this child? You probably already know the answer, based on what episode 7 showed us. Well, during the panic attack that Jax has, we get a few memories from the real world. If we manage to pause at the exact moment, you can find details that reveal quite a lot of information about what Jax did. The first flashback shows us someone driving through a neighborhood at night. We also see that there's a speed limit sign on the side of the road. This one is next to another sign that says, "Children playing." Then, in the next flashback, we can see a bright light in the distance. It looks like car headlights. With all this, the theory tells us that Jax was probably driving too fast and ran someone over, probably a child. This, taking into account the clue that one of the memories gave us. And well, if we take into account that her room looks like a little girl's room and her design looks like a stuffed animal, everything starts to make a lot of sense. So, did Jax run over a little girl and the whole circus is there to remind him of it? Everything points to that being the case, friends. Because knowing Jax, he probably panicked when he saw that he had run over a little girl, and instead of helping her, he just left and abandoned this girl. That's probably the memory that haunts him the most. That's why, when he entered the circus, he took the form of a purple rabbit. Probably because the girl had a similar stuffed animal at the moment when Jax ran her over. And this purple rabbit stuffed animal was the last thing Jax saw of the little girl. And so now it would make sense why her room is full of rainbows and very pretty colors. Besides, if we look closely at the rooms of the other characters, they're all designed to torment him. Zubal's room is full of mirrors, and she has to put up with constantly seeing herself and dealing with her body dysmorphia. So, Jax would have to deal with all these little girl things that remind him of the biggest mistake of his life. But it doesn't end here. There's another way to look at all this that, when you really think about it, becomes even more horrible. It's not just that Jax ran away after what happened, but that after the impact, there was also a crash. Something strong enough to leave his body in the real world completely useless. This is already a nightmarish tragedy, because then the circus wouldn't just be an emotional escape, it would literally be the only thing keeping him conscious. In episode 7, they had already given us a key clue with the CNA capsules, where the bodies stay alive while the mind is inside the circus. It's not just a simple coincidence, it was more like a way to keep these bodies alive. And when you connect it with Jax, things that used to seem strange start to make sense. For example, the way he talks. Or rather, not talking at all. He almost never opens his mouth. His mouth is always closed, as if it's not just part of his design, but a limitation. And this is where the theory gets very, very weird. Because if his real body is damaged, if he depends on some kind of support to breathe, then his avatar could be reflecting this. Not literally, but symbolically. As if even inside the circus there are things he can no longer do, which in this case would be opening his mouth. Or what about that running gag where they rip his skin off? Maybe in that severe crash, Jax had some kind of burn or something that left him with parts without skin. Now, with what we saw in episode 8, it seems that the circus isn't really holding them there. It's clearly built to keep them there while something else happens outside. These aren't just random accidents. Rather, someone or something is controlling all of this. And that makes Jax's situation even worse, because now it's not just someone hiding, it's someone who might not even be able to go back even if he wanted to. So, if you put all this together, the theory goes like this. Jax does something irreversible, panics, runs away, finds a way out, and takes it without thinking. But that way out doesn't free him. It traps him in something else. A place that constantly reminds him of what he did, while his body in the real world is trapped, kept alive by machines artificially. And the craziest part is that even if he wanted to face it now, it's probably already too late, because he's not choosing between staying or leaving, he's trapped between the circus and the memories of the real world. That's why everything in the circus feels so personal to him, and that's why he always tries to escape his reality to forget what's outside. And with what episode 8 revealed to us, we already have a pretty good idea of what Jax did. What do you think about this theory? Do you think Jax really ran over a little kid? We'll be reading your comments.